The sky over Lagos didn't scream when the Oya-7 arrived. It sighed. It was a heavy, organic sound, like a giant lung finally collapsing under its own weight. We had spent decades looking for metal ships and laser beams, but the Oya-7 were biological. They were massive, drifting spores the size of city blocks, settling into our clouds like dust on an old bookshelf. I was a weaver of stories. In this world I am a spy. I live in the shadow of the university ruins, watching the integrated, those humans who chose the spores over their own blood. They look like us from a distance, but their skin has a faint iridescent sheen, and their eyes don't blink anymore. They call it the Great Synthesis. The Oya-7 don't want to kill us. They want to include us. They want our nervous systems to become part of their global mycelium. They offer a world without hunger or war, but it's a world without a soul. Every morning I wake up to the smell of ozone and wet earth, wondering if today is the day my own DNA starts to rewrite itself. I spend my nights in the bioluminescent gardens with Elias. He was the first of the high architects to be changed. He's beautiful in a terrifying, alien way. His afro is no longer just hair. It's a crown of fine, glowing filaments that pulse when he speaks. I love him, or at least I remember loving the man he used to be. Now, every time he touches my hand, I feel the microfilaments in his skin trying to map my heartbeat, trying to find a way in. Elias thinks I'm a loyalist. He thinks I've accepted the low-frequency vibration that the Oya-7 used to communicate. But beneath my tongue I carry a small, lead-lined pill. It's a frequency jammer designed by the Yoruba Underground. It keeps my thoughts private. It keeps me human. Lately, the human-alien hybrids who run the city have been watching me with their 4-chambered eyes. They smell the static on me. They know I'm not syncing with the hive. I watch Elias work on the great synthesis grid. He's building a trap. The air in the spire was no longer oxygen. It was a soup of spores. I could feel them pressing against my skin, looking for a pore, a crack, a way into my bloodstream. Elias stood at the center of the great synthesis chamber, his arms spread wide. He looked like a god, but I knew he was just a relay station for something much older and much hungrier. I didn't answer. I reached into my pocket and felt the cold wood of the transmitter. In the tunnels beneath the city, the drums were waiting. Suddenly, the silence didn't just break, it shattered. A low, thrumming vibration began to shake the floorboards. It wasn't the hum of the Oya-7. It was the Dundun, the talking drum, a rhythm so complex, so syncopated that the alien mycelium couldn't map it. To the hive-mind, which thrived on simple, perfect unity, the polyrhythms of the Yoruba were like a biological virus. I watched as the glowing filaments in Elias's afro began to flicker and spark. He clutched his head, screaming in a voice that was finally painfully human again. The alien mothership above the city began to tilt, its organic petals curling as if in pain. The retreat of the Oya-7 wasn't a clean break. It was an amputation. When the orchid ships finally tore themselves away from the Lagos skyline, the sound wasn't of engines, but of roots snapping. For weeks the sky rained a fine, iridescent ash, the remains of the hive-mind that couldn't handle the rhythm of the drums. I walked through the streets of the new Lagos, my sandals treading over a carpet of dead mycelium that once tried to claim my soul. The city was waking up from a dream it didn't choose. People were touching their own skin, marveling at the fact that their thoughts were once again their own. I found Elias in the ruins of the Crystal Gardens. He was kneeling among the shimmering shards, his hands pressed against the earth. The glowing filaments in his hair had dimmed to a soft, natural black, but the scars remained intricate, wood-grain patterns etched into his neck and shoulders. He looked at me, and for the first time in years I saw a flicker of the man I used to love behind eyes that had seen the infinite. "The silence is gone," he whispered, his voice cracking like dry timber. "But it's so loud, Lisa, every heartbeat, every bird, every drum. It's all so separate. How do you live with all this noise?" I knelt beside him, placing my brown hand over his scarred one. "You don't just live with it, Elias, you play along with it. We aren't a hive. We are a symphony, and symphonies require different instruments to make something beautiful. We are the Oya-7 survivors. We carry the scars of an empire that tried to turn us into a garden, but they forgot that we are the ones who plant the seeds. Humanity isn't a destination. It's the rhythm we choose to keep when the world goes silent. We are the deep code. We are the drums. And we are finally, painfully, free. The air in the subterranean chambers beneath the University of Ibadan ruins didn't smell like the ozone-choked surface. Here it smelled of ancient red earth, palm oil, and the sharp, metallic tang of illegal hardware. We were deep below the reach of the Oya-7's mycelium sensors, protected by the lead shrouds that the Yoruba Underground had spent 3 years perfecting. It was Kola, the master of the Gangan Protocol. He was a mountain of a man, his skin a deep obsidian, his eyes fixed on a wall of monitors that flickered with stolen data from the hive-mind. Around him, the drum masters sat in a circle. These weren't just musicians, they were sonic engineers. They held the Dundun, the talking drums, like weapons. "The integrated were watching the spire," I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. "Elias... He's changing faster. The filaments are already reaching for his spine. If we don't move tonight, there won't be a man left to save. Just a relay." Kola turned, his expression grim. "Tonight isn't about saving one man, Lisa. It's about breaking the signal. Look at the readouts." He pointed to a holographic map of Lagos. The city was pulsing with a rhythmic purple light. The Oya-7 aren't just hovering. They are preparing for the global sync. They intend to broadcast a frequency that will bridge every human mind on the continent into a single, silent thought. Total integration. Total peace. The death of the individual. "And the drums?" I asked. "The drums are the virus," Kola whispered. He picked up a mallet, the wood worn smooth by generations of use. "The Oya-7 communicate in perfect mathematical drums. They can't process polyrhythms. They can't handle the syncopation of the Dundun. It's a biological paradox to them. When we strike, it won't just be noise, it will be a feedback loop that will tear their neural network apart from the inside." The tension in the room was a physical weight. I thought of Elias, of the way his glowing afro pulsed in time with the alien mothership. I thought of the integrated citizens who walked the streets like ghosts. "We need a bridge," Kola continued, looking directly at me. "The underground signal is too weak to reach the mothership's core. We need someone inside the spire to activate the lead-line transmitter. Someone the hive-mind already trusts." "Me," I said. It wasn't a question. "You," he confirmed. But you have to keep the lead pill under your tongue. If you swallow it, the jammer dies. If you spit it out, the hive will see your treason instantly. You must be a ghost in the machine." Suddenly the floor hummed. A low, vibrating moan echoed through the chamber. The Oya-7 were beginning. The sky outside was turning a bruised, violent purple as the spores began to thicken, creating a biological fog that muffled all sound. "Go," Kola commanded. "When you reach the apex, the first beat will come from the earth. When you hear the drum, Lisa, you strike." I climbed out of the hatch and into the humid night. Above me, the Oya-7 ships looked like giant rotting orchids suspended in a sea of ink. They were beautiful in their terror. I began to run toward the spire, my heart matching the frantic, invisible rhythm of the drums waiting below. "Go," Kola commanded. "When you reach the apex, the first beat will come from the earth. When you hear the drum, Lisa, you strike." I climbed out of the hatch and into the humid night. Above me, the Oya-7 ships looked like giant rotting orchids suspended in a sea of ink. They were beautiful in their terror. I began to run toward the spire, my heart matching the frantic, invisible rhythm of the drums waiting below. The climax was coming. The great synthesis was minutes away. But the Oya-7 had made one fatal mistake. They thought we were a species of silence. They forgot that we are a people of the beat. And tonight, the beat was going to break the world.